Now we kick off the Nedbank Cup, loss 32 for 2026. It is Mamelodi Sundowns and Stellenbosch who've booked their place in the Nedbank Cup round of 16. Stellenbosch eliminating defending champions Kaizer Chiefs out in Cape Town. And it is a 2-1 across the board with the games in the Western Cape and in the capital city. And then we do continue with the Nedbank Cup, last 32. Durban City play host to Chipa United. And then you also do have Lutuli Brigades, who have their debut in the Nedbank Cup up against Vasco da Gama, who last season, will not forget, that 7-goal drubbing by TS Galaxy. But I am still here in studio with Coach Simpiwe and Sibusiso Vilakazi just to take us through those two games here. We're going to start off, of course, at the DHL Stadium. That is where Kaizer Chiefs, unfortunate to be knocked out of the Nedbank Cup competition by their former coach, that is Gavin Hunt, and his outfit, that is Stellenbosch. A Stellenbosch side who earlier on we said struggled a little bit in their games in 2026. There was no struggle today for them.
There wasn't, right? And of course, having to know Gavin Hunt, knowing very well, former employee for Kaizer Chiefs, and of course how he left, that left a bit of a sour taste for him. And then he really needed this one, especially playing against the former team. He really needed this one, and it came at the right time, whereby the team has lost a bit of confidence. But then how they've got the confidence having to fight with this game, because of what he needed to see is his players fighting. He wanted to see the fight within the game. He wanted to see the players running a bit, diving in, putting in a tackle, giving everything that they have, and they gave themselves that. Once you do those things, your confidence starts to come up. Now your talent starts to come up. The belief amongst the group starts to come up, and that's what you need. And that's the kind of coach that's able to elevate that. That's why the likes of Titus needed a bit of confidence to say, sit on the bench with the game that you've played against Belouizdad.
Yeah.
Sit on the bench. Let me make you crave the game a bit. And once I give you the opportunity, now I need you to now trigger. Now I need that upset to say, okay, you put me on the bench, I need to show you. And that's what you get also with the players that have the appetite of saying, I'll show you, coach. Because I feel is one kind of coach that works with the opposite.
Yeah.
I remember one time I scored a hat-trick, and then he said, what did you do? Like, that's not good enough. And you know him shaking his head. He was like, what did you do? So for me, on the other side, he says, don't be enough. We need more of that. Because if you gave us that, you can equally do that.
Yeah.
But the likes of Titus came into the picture. The defense also came into the picture. They really, really fought hard. And that's what they needed to turn this thing around for themselves.
Thank you so much for that insight. It gives us a bit more into this game. We spoke about a team that was also mourning. You listened to Devon Titus speak about in his Man of the Match acceptance award that the likes of Oswin 3 years ago, and they've also recently mourning another player. So that also kind of spurred them on today. That's what they were playing for. But going back to the game and how it started, Stellies, like a house on fire, very, very early on, Coach Simpiwe.
They were telling the fans that you might have came late and we needed to delay the game, but it was all worth it because if you look at even this corner, getting this corner, they got behind the defense of Chiefs to get a corner. And, you know, for Jabbar to come in, and sometimes I don't know if he plays with his left or his right because he's just ambidextrous, and he does that so well. And look at this moment here when they're trying to, you know, pierce the Chiefs' midfield because they were in possession. Immediately when you lose possession, the quickest way is for you to win the ball back. 2 seconds, they won it back. And in quality football, high football, they tell you, in order for you to not concede a goal is to win the ball back in the at least 5 seconds. And they won it in 2. They got it and played in there. No offside for Stellenbosch. Why? Because they were playing in front of Chiefs and they didn't let Chiefs, you know, they were not even going behind the defense of Chiefs because they just wanted to quickly, you know, minimize, hit the shots on target, even, you know, shots on target for them, 5.
Yeah.
And that of Chiefs were only 3.
Yeah.
And only 1 getting into the goals. So that shows you everything they were doing, it was intentional. 3-5-2 for them, deny them time and space on the ball. Don't allow Chiefs to operate and dictate in that midfield. And it was even easier with the Maboa not being there. There was no ball retention. Umabaso, as a young player, he tried because that's where they lost possession in Anondlo to concede the second goal.
And also, if you look at that moment whereby Jabbar comes in with a quick press, that's able then after a quick press, he wins the ball, leads to Titus into space. He makes a run, takes away McCarthy, opens up a space because if McCarthy doesn't have someone to look at, he stays in that area.
Absolutely.
He can even go to Titus and put pressure. But then that run from Jabbar takes him away. Then it says Titus elevated to space, and he's got that spatial, he's got that awareness to see there's space in front of me, and then how then he attacks that for me. Then it was supposed to be Miguel also putting pressure because of then McCarthy's been taken away. He's got attention.
Ufaka kanjani pressure umuntu anetechnique yokuthi ngiyadubula.
Yeah, nakancane.
Uyasibona isibhamu nasesihlohlwe siyeza lapha
coach, make it difficult.
And it's a 3 center backs.
Yeah,
that it
I was going to
becomes
ask about how they set up
because when it's 2 center backs, sometimes it's easy for you to just pick up the players and then close off.
Yeah.
But when it's 3, you first look at the distances. Are we in good distances? Let's go back. Let's go forward. And it's also pure genius from Mutaitas because if he would have pushed it again, they would have closed him down.
100%.
But he doesn't push it again. He looks up, great technique and top corner.
Yep.
Also called Kipu Pumilutai, okay,
I know he needed that. Titus needed that. He needed a goal like that.
Yeah.
And would want to improve from this. After scoring a goal like this, now you start to even have more belief in yourself. Now things are starting to happen, especially as I said, the fight was there. They're able to pick a fight. In such moments, they're able to sit out for you. That's luck. Because of now you're grinding it, you're creating luck for yourself, you're doing the right things, you're very much closer to the opponents, you're doing everything right, which is winning your duels. There was one incident where he was very much brave with a tall guy, but he went in there, and that's courage for me. But all those things, they come back together, and the football is able to reward you.
Football is able to reward you, and of course, we're speaking about that game between Chiefs and Stellenbosch. Already we've taken you through those goals, and Devon Titus's goals was definitely one of the best that we saw tonight. But then again, you go back to how they went. Of course, it was 2-0 up at the half. They then come back, and there was an incident here where Silva was then given the penalty to convert. But first of all, how that was created, and that was Musa Lubusa. And with regards to that, we've been speaking about was it in a natural position or not in a natural position?
Yeah, those ones are always difficult because it's a split second that you have to make a decision. And this is the wing play that Chiefs use as a tactical ploy to say, you know, let's take the ball wide and be able to push. For me, it's the courage to say we've just hit the woodwork. What then happens next? They win the ball back and then they're able to go again. And it's the numbers also for me in the box for Chiefs. Take your shots at goal because now Stellenbosch has brought all the players back. It's difficult for Chiefs, you know, to be making those passes. But it's this pure moment where, and you see even Silva, how he goes. He doesn't fall, he puts his body there and he goes. Ulibusa, we always say to defenders, stay on your feet as long as possible. You see, there he drops it. He drops that arm. If he doesn't drop that arm, it will actually hang in the air.
Yeah.
But he goes with his leg, tackles, and then lesa sandla lesea
You know, we argued about this for a while, and I think now you are more convinced that yes, it was correct.
Yeah, it was more. Now it's more because of now we're able to see the slow motion at the same time because we didn't have a clear picture of saying, is he extending his arm? Is Musa's arm, is it closer to his body? Whereby now you could easily see it in slow motion, whereby that arm, that hand is stretching out. There is it, it's stretching out. Now he's making his body bigger. I mean, in football terms, then the football regulations or the rules, they will say he's stretching his arms, making his body bigger. So that's why also it becomes easily a penalty.
Well, speaking about that pen, it was very easy for the likes of Silva to then convert and give Kaizer Chiefs that 2-1. At some point in time, you might have thought, well, game on. This time around, they're back in the game as he managed to convert that one for Kaizer Chiefs.
Yeah, and it's a good time also to do it because in the last 5 minutes of it, they hit the woodwork, then they get a penalty, and then they eventually convert this penalty. It brings them back in the game, and it carries the momentum. But you look at the attitude of Stellenbosch. They look despondent a bit, but from there, then they go back to say, okay, let's grind. And that's the attitude that you want to see from a Stellies that has conceded, but also from Chiefs. It's just that they became so anxious in trying to get the goals. They were no longer as composed. It was no longer structured. And I think Umdunai was no longer making those runs between the centre-backs to get them behind because that's how he created the 3 chances that he missed. Now everything was haphazard. Now they are just wanting to get a goal instead of orchestrating well to say, okay, let's have structure. Let's pull them apart because the 3 centre-backs, they were not the fastest. Libusa, God's will, and also with Stanich there. They are not the fastest, and that's how they were able to break them. But they were no longer using the tactical ploy anymore. They were just trying to go wide, bring in the crosses, and you won't win it because they were hitting everything.
Well, also must be said that the likes of Mdu and Ilepo had a good couple of chances. When you look at their stats, they had about 2 and 1 shots on target. So they did try those attempts. I think we saw one from Ilepo at the woodwork.
Then you try to go back from the first half for him to had like clear chances, goal-scoring opportunities. you'll try and look at those chances and say those chances should have been taken, and it could have been a total different game ball with this result. But at the same time, those are lessons from Umdu in terms of how then he needs to finish up those moments, how then he needs to be that complete number 10. Because if he gets into the right areas, whereas I'm happy that he's getting to the right areas, he's breaking the line. It's just a matter of now doing that at training session whereby you go through, now finish it, because you're going to find yourselves again in that position. And it's important for you to be clinical when you get this opportunity.
Well, then, not only to speak about the opportunities perhaps on one end, of course, Peterson then must have been quite active, because when you look at the full-time stats, 10 and 15 apiece shots that were taken here today. So Peterson also made some quite good saves to keep the likes of Stellies out. I mean, we've had so many situations, the Butaka situation at some point in time. So he's also had to be called on to, make sure to save a couple of saves.
Tato, Stellenbosch had 9 shots from inside the box of the opponent, which means they were intentional. They kept the ball in areas, and then your first touch takes you into the opponent's half and into the opponent's box as well. At this moment, Upili, it goes to his left, but he pushes it too hard. Also, the goalkeeper, Miguel, makes it difficult for him to be able to, have the composure, because of it's a split second where you have to make a decision and be able to score from that. And if you look at the stats there, and like I said, 0 offsides for Stellenbosch. They were intentional with everything that they wanted to do, So, and 7 offsides for Chiefs. What does it tell you? It just tells you, Guti, Chiefs were trying to get behind. Why? Labana beba pushi line yabo. The 5 beba pushi line yabo, and then they were giving them space. But however, they couldn't really materialize in making opportunities to score from that is Chiefs.
Well, the Amakosi faithful must be quite disappointed tonight to be knocked out of this cup competition that ended the 10-year trophy drought that they had, and really wanting to count on and continue the momentum that they had into 2026. I mean, that is 4 games that have been doing so well. Now they have to focus on the CAF Confed and the league.
Gives them more games also.
Yeah.
Now you go back and then focus on the league. At the same time, you're in a good position with the Confed, a good position whereby when you started the Confed, you were not in a good position now to compete. But now you can see that there's a bit of light for them to qualify and get to the next round, which I believe that they can still do it. Their group is so strong, but not so strong, especially if then they understand how to even play away. And they were able to play an away game, of course, when they were able to defeat. I think it was a team from Zambia. I think it's Zesco. Yes, they were able to do a double. So now you understand they're playing away and home, which is, it shows the squad is much stronger to do the job away and equally at home. And of course, as the tournament starts to progress, now you start to meet like top teams. I'm sure they will be shaping into a level of where they can compete at the same time. But of course, even with the league, they've been quiet performers. And they've been able to pick it up. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that they can look into, that they are more of a team that's in the groove. They can clean those things. That they have a good team. And I've said even before, they have greatly invested in this team slowly, and then things are starting to come up for them. So build on it, continue with that process, believe on it. It's coming out nicely.
Well, the Amakosi train has been derailed just in the defense of the Nedbank Cup competition. How do they continue on with the rest of the season in the different competitions that they are applying their trade in? But through at Loftus Versfeld is Mamelodi Sundowns, who were disappointed at the weekend in the CAF Champions League, but they found some joy against Gomora United this evening. And it must be said that for them, it also was the changes in that starting lineup. Peter Shalulile, Atemba Zwane there today. And then it was really nice to see Ashalulile be the one to get the scoring first.
Yeah, Tato. And also I think the minutes were missing, but good to see Leclerc also with this assist, finding Peter in that assist role. Cut back from him, one touch finish. I think that's a good goal from Peter. Brings his confidence. But I like this on the side whereby he's able to go through the fullback, dribble that fullback, get into that area of an assist, and then find Peter to position himself in that area. I like this. This is what I want to see from a winger, taking on your fullback, showing him the line, and then he says, when you show me that I'm going to drive with you, cut back for Shalulu's perfectly positioned inside. But I think they needed this, but minutes are missing from most of the players. So that's why also you can see the score is a bit 2-1. The players haven't really been sharp, but they needed this game also to get to that level.
100%.
There are more games that are still coming from Mamelodi Sundowns.
More games coming from Mamelodi Sundowns, but there is Mpho Mauke, who managed to get the equalizer for Gomora United just before the half. So Sundowns and Gomora United went into that half 1-1. And that also, like we said at the time, we want to be a fly on the wall to say, what is coach telling Gomora United as they come back in to say, you actually can do this?
Absolutely, you believe. Dreaming is free, and that's exactly what they did. They came through in the first half, with a 1-1. There's confidence. Now, this is pure genius and pure bliss, because Umurena, where he comes from as well, this is a wing back.
Yeah.
He comes in there and opens his eyes and he just directs it so nicely. Yes, Monem Bunulu was swear people shele lanjeli but
what's an umbu? Oh, okay. Hey, I need to know. Everybody else at home also needs to know.
Yeah.
I've just learned a new word. Continue.
And his forehead, his eyes, and directing it with so much power. That is incredible. Also the pass, it's an umbrella pass that he gets. It's just coming directly to him over the center backs, everybody, and he gets it nicely in there. It's technique. When you're playing lower division teams, you need to show them that we are set apart from the rest, how you dictate play.
Yeah.
How, 73%, 78% ball possession, keeping possession in order to score, winning areas in the game and not giving the opposition time and space on the ball. That's what Sundowns did. What the stats are not showing us is that the 8 shots on target of Sundowns, only 2 goals in them, but it just shows you how much they were dictating and making it difficult for Gomora. However, Gomora was bigger, but see, let's compete. We didn't lose by 10 goals, by 20 goals. How they win that, they score the goal. Not many teams will push that far up to put pressure on Sundowns.
Coach, literally before the game started this evening, we were talking about and reminding people at home about Powerlines FC 24-0, La Masia 6-1, Sibanya, that was a 5-2. And then today, for you as Gomora United, who are not in the top half of the Motsepe Foundation Championship, you haven't had a win in 2026, and you lose 2-1 to Mamelodi Sundowns. That also should give you a pat on your back to say, when you go to Motsepe Foundation Championship and play the remainder of your games, maybe I can even gain promotion to the top flight next season.
There's a lot of motivation for themselves. I think Coach Ashley Makanya will be proud of the boys. And now you look how then they did it also, able to steal the ball from Kaizer. Those are very much brave intentions, and one would have identified that moment, because of only a good player that is very much focused is able to see those moments and make a top defender make a mistake like that. So we have something really, really good happening there. So Coach Ashley Mackay and Coach Patrick Pungwai, they have a team, they have things that they can generate from this game and go back to the Motsepe Foundation and then start building it from it. Because that's a brave performance there. A brave performance. One would have imagined a 7-0, but it never happened like that. So they were very much brave. It's a matter of then how then you continue for a bit, how then you carry yourself and have the courage of saying we can do better. If we have matched that, we can easily compete with our teams in the Motsepe Foundation.
I think the beauty about the Nedbank Cup competition is that Aubrey Modiba actually got the man of the match accolade. Aubrey Modiba is a player who was found through the Nedbank Cup competition, the Kiona team search. And that's why they say Kiona Yarona, and hopefully we'll see some of those Gomora United players somewhere donning the kit of some team, and we'll be quite shocked. But the Nedbank Cup does continue. Of course, this is how it started in the last 32. On Friday, we do have Kiona games on the go. That is Chipa United up against Durban City. That also is a repeat of the weekend's encounters. And then Vasco da Gama will play host to Nedbank Cup debutants. That is literally brigade. And that is, of course, how the Nedbank Cup last 32 continues. We do have games on Saturday, on Sunday, and Tuesday as we kick off this wonderful competition that also signals the end, or rather our season tallying to an end. It has kicked off. Don't forget goals versus saves and all the competitions that are here with the Nedbank Cup competition. Well, all I know is that you predicted 7-0 tonight. Hey, you did not get that. Yeah, he predicted 7-0.
Sometimes those predictions, they do go wrong, right?
100%. What does Steve Compella say about a bikini and a blanket?
You know?
The predictions.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Coach Simpiwe. Thank you so much, Vila. It has been an absolute pleasure being with you here tonight. It's also been a pleasure being with you at home. From myself, Tato Moyeng, and the entire SuperSport crew. Good night.